Okay, now we're going to use the same formulas we had on the other side, but now we're going to be looking for the arc instead of the angle. Notice down here on these pictures, these are different because last time I was looking for the angle in the middle, and this time I'm looking for an arc on the outside. So these are the same pictures and the same formulas we had on the previous page, but now what I want to do is, if I wanted to move this 1/2 off of this side, because now I'm going to look for one of these x or y. So what I can do is if I multiply both sides of this equation by 2, on this side I'll get 2 times the angle, and I'm just going to put an A in for angle, is equal to x plus y. Over here, do the same thing, multiply times 2 on both sides. Half of 2 is 1, and that cancels, and so I just have x minus y on this side. And over here I have 2 times the angle. So now 2 times the angle is equal to the difference. And once again, just keep in mind that this has to be the big one minus the little one. So you just have to keep that in mind when you start looking for which one you're trying to figure out, if you're trying to find the big one or the little one. And these are going to turn into some algebra problems. So here we go. These are pretty easy because it's a plus 1 to begin with. So here's the angle. This is my angle. And this is my x and my y that I'm going to plug into this formula. So 2 angle equals x plus y. 2 times the angle is equal to this side, x plus 98. So then how do I solve it? It's an algebra problem. Well, I'm going to multiply these together, and then I'm going to subtract the 98. 2 times 86 minus 98 in my calculator. This side cancels, and I get that x is 74. The next one I can set up the same way, but what if I happen to say this is my angle, and this is my x, and this is my y? Well, what happens, here's my same formula. 2 times the angle equals 26 plus x, that was this side here. Subtract the 26, so 2 times 100 minus 26, and I get x is 174. Those are both pretty easy to solve. These are going to have subtracting in them, so I'm going to have to be a little bit more clever when I work on these. So this is also, sometimes they tell me the measure up there because this is a pretty small angle, so that's my angle right there. 2 times the angle equals x minus y. And remember, the bigger one has to go here. So this is 2 times 12, that's my angle, equals the bigger one, which is the 82, minus the x on that side. Now when I start to solve this, I have 24 equals 82 minus x. Now how do I solve this? Well, I minus the 82 on both sides, and I get negative 58 equals negative x. But I don't want negative x, so I multiply both times negative 1, and I get that x equals 58 degrees. It would not make sense for this to be a negative. That's like saying negative 6 inches long. Or Austin is negative 12 miles away. That does not make any sense for it to be negative, so it's not a negative. Alright, these next one, we're going to use the same formulas. 2 times the angle equals x minus y. This time d, that's what I'm looking for. That's the bigger one, so that goes first. 42 is the other one. And the angle was 12, 2 times 12. 2 times 12 is 24 equals d minus 42. How do I solve this one? Well, it's already a minus 42, so I do plus 42. And I find that d equals 66. And a way to check when you get done is this angle, this one was on the outside, it should be bigger than that one on the inside. Alright, now these next two are ones where we have tangents on both sides. And these create an interesting case. Notice that I don't have the other side here. But what I do know about the circle is that all the way around the circle is 360. So I know this side here is x. How big is the other side? Well, it's 360 minus x. This side here is going to be 360 minus x. So I can just put that down. And now I can plug those into my formula. 2 times the angle equals x minus y. Well, the bigger side is this green one, so that's 360 minus x, that's the green one, and then minus the orange one, which is x, and the angle was 62. So now let's see what we have. 2 times 62 is 124. And over here, I have 360 minus x minus x. So that's really 360 minus 2x. So then I can solve this minus the 360 on both sides. This cancels. And I have negative 236 equals negative 2x. And then what do? You divide by the negative 2 on both sides, and you get x equals 118. If I plug this into this part, I get 118 here, and if I plug it in there, I'd get the part where the green angle is, which this green arc would be bigger than 118. Okay, this next one is very similar to it. This time, though, they told me the x is on the outside, so the green part is the x, and that's the bigger side of it. And I know that the orange part this time is the smaller part of it, and this is still going to be 360 minus x because it still adds up to 360. So I'm going to do it similar, but it's going to be in a different order because this is the bigger one is the x. So 2 times the angle equals x minus y. The angle is 20. The big side goes first. That's the x. That's the green side. And then the orange side goes next, 360 minus x. And notice I put it in parentheses because this is really like there's a 1 there. Remember when there's nothing there, it's like it's a 1, and I've got to distribute that negative to both of those parts there. So this is 40 equals x minus 360, and then negative 1 times this negative x gives me plus x. So what I have here is 40 equals x plus x is 2x minus 360. Then add the 360 to both sides. 400 equals 2x, divide by 2, and you get x equals 200. So what you need to do when you get to these kinds here with the tangents is you need to be really careful and make sure you're always putting the big part first, whether that's the x or the 360 minus x, so you get those in the right order.